Welcome to the Explainer. When it comes to hiring a top-tier finance leader, the question has totally changed. It's not just how much will this cost me anymore, it's what does this investment actually unlock? So today, we're going to cut through all the noise on fractional CFO pricing. We'll show you exactly how it works, what really drives the cost, and what it's truly worth to your business.
All right, here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll tackle the big problem, that huge salary that's making companies rethink everything. Then we'll look at the fractional solution, and this is the core of it, we'll break down the 6 key levers that actually determine the price. After that, we'll explore the different models out there, shift the conversation to what really matters, ROI, and wrap up with the one strategic question you absolutely should be asking.
Okay, let's dive right in, and we're going to start with the core tension that so many growing businesses are feeling right now. It all comes down to a really big number that's forcing a massive change in strategy.
Now, this might sound a little weird, right? A full-time CFO holding you back? But for a lot of companies that are trying to scale, the old-school answer, just hiring a full-time exec, has actually become a huge strategic problem. It's a roadblock to being fast, agile, and ready to grow.
And here it is. This is the number that just stops founders cold. We're talking a base salary somewhere between $200 and $350 grand, and that's before you even add bonuses, benefits, and equity. You're looking at this massive, fixed cost. And for a business that needs to be lean and adaptable, that kind of financial weight, it's often just not sustainable.
So that huge cost and, frankly, the lack of flexibility have really opened the door for a much smarter, more dynamic way to think about financial leadership. The market figured out a better way to get that C-suite level guidance without the C-suite level price tag.
Okay, so why is this happening right now? Well, it's basically a perfect storm. You've got those crazy full-time salaries we just talked about. At the exact same time, investors are demanding way more sophisticated reporting and much tighter governance. And then you throw in the fact that new ways of working, blending your internal team with outside experts, are becoming the new normal. All of this together makes the fractional CFO more critical than ever before. So, if you're thinking about a fractional CFO, what actually sets the price? It's not as simple as just an hourly rate. There's a real method to the madness, and once you understand it, you're in a much better position to find the perfect fit for you.
Okay, these are the 6 big levers that really determine the cost. I want you to think of them like dials that you can turn up or down based on exactly what you need. So let's break each one down so you know what you're paying for.
All right, first up, the most obvious one, time. How many hours a month do you need? This sets the baseline. Are you just looking for some high-level oversight for a few hours, or do you need someone who's really embedded in your operations every single week? The trick here is to be really honest with yourself. Do you need daily handholding or just a strategic check-in once a month? Getting this right helps you avoid paying for time you don't actually need.
Okay, next up is business complexity. And this is where it gets really interesting. Your business model itself is a huge factor in the price. I mean, a SaaS company that's wrestling with deferred revenue has totally different needs than a straightforward service business. Same goes for fintech or companies with a bunch of different legal entities. The more complex it is, the more specialized expertise you need, and that's going to be reflected in the cost.
Where you are in your journey is also a huge piece of the puzzle. A pre-seed startup, they probably just need help building out their first financial model and getting some basic cash discipline in place. But a Series A or B company, oh man, they need heavy-duty financial planning and analysis, super sophisticated board reports, and complex scenario modeling. The big takeaway here is you got to match the CFO's experience to your immediate roadmap.
This is a really important question to ask yourself. Are you hiring someone to maintain a machine that's already running smoothly, or are you bringing in a builder to fix a chaotic finance function? Let's be real. Cleaning up messy books and building new systems from scratch is a massive lift, and the price will show that. A builder might cost more upfront, but they can save you from making incredibly expensive mistakes down the road.
The scope of work, what you're actually asking them to do, will have a dramatic impact on the cost. If the job is narrowly focused on, say, just financial planning, the price will be on the lower end. But if that scope blows up to include high-stakes stuff like leading a fundraising round or managing M&A due diligence, the value, and therefore the price, goes way up. Defining this really clearly from day one is one of the best ways to keep costs in check.
And finally, let's talk about your existing infrastructure. How mature are your team and your tech? A company with a clean, cloud-based accounting system and a good internal team is way easier to work with. If a fractional CFO has to come in and untangle a bunch of legacy systems, their workload just shot up, and so will the cost. So investing in good systems isn't just an operational upgrade, it's a direct way to make senior talent more affordable.
All right, so now that we know the 6 levers, let's see how they all come together in the different pricing models you're likely to see out there. Because it's definitely not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. These structures are designed to fit all sorts of different needs. Most of the time, you're going to see one of these 3 options. You've got your monthly retainers, which are great for ongoing strategic advice. Then there's a part-time model, where you have someone with a more regular, maybe weekly presence. And finally, you have project-based pricing, which is absolutely perfect for those specific, high-intensity jobs like a fundraiser or preparing for an acquisition. But there's a 4th model that is quickly becoming the favorite for high-growth companies. It's built on a simple idea. Sometimes you need more than just one person. Sometimes you need a whole finance function.
And this is where we see a major shift toward these integrated solutions, what's called the hybrid model. Instead of just hiring a strategist, you get a full-stack finance team. You get the CFO for guidance, a controller to make sure the books are accurate, and an analyst to dig for insights. It's a complete package that solves a huge problem, the gap between a great high-level strategy and the day-to-day work needed to actually make it happen. This makes sure that the big-picture plan gets implemented correctly and tracked daily, which is honestly where a lot of companies fail when they just hire one leader.
And keep in mind, these costs aren't the same everywhere. What a company is willing to pay a premium for in one country is totally different somewhere else. In the US, for example, it's all about speed, fast forecasting, board reporting, and capital efficiency. But in the UK, the premium is for navigating really complex regulations like IFRS rules and cross-border tax. This table really lays it all out for you, showing how those drivers affect the actual cost. You can see the US market tends to have the highest rates, driven by that need for speed. And then you see markets like the UK, the Middle East, and Australia, where the pricing is shaped more by their own local compliance and governance rules.
Okay, so this brings us to maybe the most important point of all. We have to stop thinking about this as just another cost on the P&L. The whole conversation needs to pivot from what does it cost to what value does it create?
Look, a great fractional CFO isn't an expense. They are a lever for growth. And the return on that investment is something you can actually see and measure. It shows up as increased cash flow. It's getting ready for investors faster. It's having tighter control over your burn rate. It's even getting a higher valuation because your numbers are clean and trustworthy. If you're not seeing these kinds of outcomes, then yeah, it's just a cost. But if you are, it's one of the most powerful investments you can make.
And that really reframes the whole decision, doesn't it? You're not just filling a role here. You're making a strategic investment in the future of your company's financial health and its ability to move fast.
So, in the end, the right question isn't how much does a fractional CFO cost? It's this: which financial future am I buying? In a market where capital is getting tighter and competition is everywhere, financial clarity is probably the most valuable thing you can have. The right partner helps you reduce risk, strengthen your governance, and gives you the kind of clarity your business needs to accelerate growth and to win.